Konbanwa minasan. This is Christy Bryant with the Austin Oita Sister City Committee. I hope you're doing really well. It's Friday, and Fridays are with Juliann Krute. We're going to have a really neat Furoshiki demonstration. If you've been to Japan, you see all the really neat things that they tie up, like the bento boxes, the lunch boxes they put into the really beautiful handkerchiefs. You're going to see a lot of that tonight. And stay tuned till the end, and she is going to show you how to make your own face mask with just a simple scarf and a couple of hair bands. So wait until the end to see that. I encourage you to participate in our contest. Tonight would be a great time to take a photo, take a little picture of something that you've worked on, a little bento box, Furoshiki, or your face mask, post it, like our page, and you'll be entered into our contest to win really cool things like the $100 gift cards to Kome, Texas Sake Asahi, and Kinokuniya bookstores, and the really cool t-shirt. I think Juliann's gonna wear her t-shirt tonight, so you'll see what that looks like. Without any further ado, here is Juliann Krute with Furoshiki.
Thank you. And thank you, Christy, for all that you've been doing to help us out in this 30 Things for 30 Days for our celebration of our 30th anniversary of the Austin Oita Sister City relationship. My name is Juliann. Hopefully you've met me on one of my previous Friday shows or on Wednesday this week. And I'm the Arts Committee Chair, and I'm a fiber artist. And today we're going to be talking about Furoshiki. This will be shorter. I really appreciate all those of you who hung in with me for the hour that I did last week on Japanese textiles. If you'd like to go back and watch it, it's available on replay. But today, hopefully things will be a little bit quicker. We're sticking to one subject, and I'm trying to pare it down a little bit, so bear with me. I'm going to mostly be talking from my overhead camera, so you'll mostly be looking at my hands and just kind of watching me work. But first I'll give you a little bit of the history of Furoshiki. If you've been to Japan, you'll notice that everything that you purchase is wrapped and wrapped and wrapped. You may buy an item that comes in a single serving container that's wrapped in plastic, that may be wrapped with a paper on the outside of the plastic and then put into a very fancy bag, and then the bag is even taped shut. So where did Japan get this history of lots and lots of packaging from? Well, in the Edo period, they had a tradition of wrapping all of their items that they were carrying around with them. They didn't want anybody else to see them. It was a form of modesty, but it also would protect people's privacy in case women were smuggling household goods off to the pawn shop. So if you're not familiar with the Edo period, it started in 1603 and went till the middle of the 19th century. And they didn't have wrapping paper, and they didn't necessarily have purses or handbags or things like that. So they just used what was available. And what was available at the time was cloth. Nowadays, we make bags, we take cloth and we sew them together into, backpacks or other convenient permanent containers. But at the time, cloth was very precious. It was hand woven, and every single square inch of it was valuable. So they would just use pieces of cloth that were lying around, usually in a square format. And so today we now use square pieces of cloth called Furoshiki, and we use it to wrap up a variety of things, whether it's an everyday item that you're carrying around, like your bento, or whether it's a present that you're going to be giving to someone. So on the subject of presents, there are two forms of etiquette. Well, there's two options with etiquette. You either can give your gift wrapped up in the beautiful Furoshiki. Let me start showing you some of them with my overhead camera. You can either give your gift wrapped up and then imagine there's something inside of here. Oh no, a watch. You would give your gift all packaged up, and then you would hand it to them. And if you give them the Furoshiki, if you hand them the actual package with the cloth still on it, that means that you would like for them to return the cloth with another gift in it. So it's starting a series of reciprocal gift giving using the cloth as the common thread between them. However, if you don't want to expect a return gift, if you're giving it out of a sense of generosity, or even if you just don't want to get into this continuous cycle, which is quite common in Japan. If someone gives you a gift and you give another gift, and then you're back and forth, and some of my friends, we've been doing it for nearly 20 years now. But if you don't want to start that cycle, you would simply unveil the item before them, present it very delicately on the fabric, and then here the person would collect the gift and you would take the furoshiki back with you. So nowadays, this is a very economical way, an economical alternative to wrapping paper. You may know that Christmas and birthdays, people tend to be very extravagant with wrapping paper, and little kids like to tear it apart, and at the end of the day, it's been used for just a few minutes and then thrown away. But if you use cloth instead, you can reuse it year on year. You can have your Christmas packages in the same beautiful wrapping all the time, and it very much goes with the Japanese spirit of motanai, or to not waste anything. So let me show you some samples of what furoshiki can look like, the different fabrics and things. So as I said, they're generally square. The sizes are not particularly important. What you really need is the corner to corner dimension. So opening it up like a bandana, but these two external corners, see if I can get them both on the screen at once. The two external corners here need to be, the dimension between them needs to be 3 times the longest length of the object. So I'll be able to show you that in a minute when I start doing the bento box. But your rough guideline is find the size of your object, and then you need to have 1, 2, 3 amounts long if you're going corner to corner in your square. So a furoshiki can be any size whatsoever. A typical size will be about 48 to 50 centimeters, or about 18 or 19 inches. The ones that you can buy in the stores that are labeled furoshiki tend to be this size. It's also the size of a standard Japanese handkerchief. Sometimes you may not know what you're actually purchasing, but it doesn't matter. You can use a handkerchief or a scarf. Let me show you some more examples. You will note that some of these fabrics are a little bit stiffer. You notice that when I sort of drop that down, it doesn't really sort of flop down into nothing. It's got a heavy body to it. So a lot of the commercially available ones are made out of a heavier weight polyester, more like we would use for a heavy drapery fabric or a light upholstery weight fabric. You can, however, use whatever you like. It's going to create a slightly different look depending on what you're using. So this is a cotton one that has not been washed. So one of the things to note is if you're making it at home, you may be able to see on camera that this just has a very basic hemline like you would have for a napkin. So you can do a simple rolled hem on it. Use any type of cotton. But this one, as you may, well, you can't quite see because my lights are so bright, but it's a little bit translucent. You can still see, there you go, you can still see my hand sort of through it. This is a cotton, sort of a heavyweight gauze, but it would still be appropriate to use for wrapping, but your gift might show through a little bit. Whereas some of the heavier ones that I have under here, which we'll be actually demonstrating with later, are incredibly thick. These are the polyester ones. Sometimes they'll be like a double woven linen, cotton linen. A double weave is actually really handy because it's the same on both sides. Or if you have a lighter weight one that is light and printed, you can see your print on one side, but also see very much a similar print on the back. It's intentional so that you can use both sides of the fabric. And sometimes it'll even be double-sided with 2 different fabrics, so you can get some very fancy designs doing it that way. But whatever you want to do when you're making it yourself, you can use any fabric that you have on hand, as long as it's a square, and again, as long as it's 3 times the length of the object that you're going to be using. So I'm going to get into a couple of examples. If you purchase a furoshiki in a shop in Japan, it'll usually come with a little booklet that gives you some samples of how to use it, ways that you would wrap it. Let me open this up for you. We're going to demonstrate a couple of these tonight, but as you can see, there's actually quite a few of them. I will be showing you how to wrap up a bento box, how to use it as a wine bottle, a single wine bottle, which is this one. I'll also be showing how to use it as a bag, but with handles is a different way. And then I've got a special surprise, especially for COVID-19, at the end of this broadcast. So first, let's start with a bento box. Now, you may wonder why you would wrap up a bento box. I mean, isn't it a self-contained item and you can just sort of toss it into your bag and it's all locked up? I'm going to put this face down. This is the important thing, is to start with the face down. But a bento box is a precious item that you would reuse over and over again. And as such, you want to keep it protected so that when you've got it in your larger bag, it will not get scuffed up, it will not open unexpectedly, and also it may help you retain a little bit of heat or cool, just a little bit of insulation. So here's a standard size bento box. If you watch next Friday with my kawaii bento, you'll be seeing these turning into some really adorable lunches. So you will just take your furoshiki. Sorry, I can't quite show you the whole thing, but we're turning it 45 degrees so that the points are out. So if you can imagine, this is a large square, and here, I'll use this as a sample. So this is what the square looks like, but I've turned it on 45-degree angle, and then you got the bento box inside it like this. And all you're going to do is fold one side down, fold the other side up and over, and wrap the box underneath. And I'm doing this facing me. Sorry, I can't quite do it upside down. Fold the other side up and over, and you may want to just give it a little bit of a tuck, the same way you would for wrapping paper if you're fancy at gift wrapping. And then you just take the two corners here and tie it using a square knot. You don't have to tie it very tightly. If you tie it so that there's space, see how there's a little bit of space in here? You can use this as a little handle to carry your bento box in. I don't know if you can see it that way. You can obviously tie it so that it's completely flush if you're just going to put it into a bag. This is also a great basic tie for giving gifts if you have a rectangular box. And again, if you're just doing this at home for the holidays, you don't even have to finish the edges of your fabric. Just get a big square, wrap up your box like this, and then you can gift it. And it's very easy to open again, and there you go. Another reason why polyester is popular right now is if you can see these ends, even though I just knotted it, it's not terribly wrinkled. So it's not difficult to iron and reuse each time, whereas linen, which holds a crease very well, can be a little bit of a challenge. So let's put the bento box aside. I'll show you quickly. I will try to do it facing you next time. Show you the bottle wrapping. So you may be able to see that I have this lovely cat print, and it has, let's see if I can get this in the right place. It has a bit of a, this is actually a fence post, but for some reason it reminds me of a bottle. Now this design is usually used for wine bottles, but if you have a furoshiki of the standard size, which is about 8-10 inches, it's not quite tall enough. Remember that you need it to be 3 times on the diagonal as long as your item. So instead I have, let me flip it over, I have a bottle of water, just a standard bottle of water, kind of the normal size that you get at the convenience store. I have pretended that we're a fancy television show and removed the label so we don't get into any kind of trouble. Not that it would be an issue. Oops, don't look at the label. And so you take the 2 corners and you're just going to tie a knot right on top. Again, you're looking at a square knot. There are 2 basic knots in furoshiki. One is a square knot and one is an overhand knot, which is basically just kind of tying a knot in one corner on itself. So once you've got the square knot on the top, let me see if I can do this so that you can see. So here are the 2 other corners. You can see one side a little bit easier. And you're just going to twist these corners together. Or twist them into a decorative roll. Whoops, don't let the top come off like I just did. So let's try that again. Leaving the top on there, take these corners again and twist. This always works better when it's not on camera, but oh well. That's how you know that we're not super magical professionals. So once you've got your ends twisted up, keep the top on. Wow, I'm totally embarrassing myself here. Well, we'll pretend that the top is back on there. Now, you got your ends twisted up, and this is more of a decoration. So you're just going to tie the end here. Let me show you again so that you can see better now that I've laid it down. So the ends are twisted, twisted, and twisted. This does take quite a bit of practice, and it's hard to do while I'm watching in a video camera, but I promise you it is actually easier when no one's watching you. But we've created a nice little decorative bow on the front using, again, a square knot. And this could be how you would present a bottle of wine. You obviously can make it look a little bit tidier before you present it. But because you have twisted these ends up, let me do this again, make it look just a little neater. Because you've twisted the ends up, you don't have a big amount of fabric just sticking out loose and fluffy. So that is what your present would look like. See if it, instead of it being an obvious wine bottle or soda bottle or something like that, it has a little bit more of a decorative effect. And then on the back, you can just see the fabric plain. Now, let's go to how to use an accessory. In recent times, it's been very popular to create handbags out of Furoshiki. Now, you can do it just by tying knots, as I showed you in the little booklet. There's also 3 books available in English, or one is bilingual, English and Japanese. But it's becoming popular to use these as sort of reusable handbags. And instead of using just with knots, they now make accessories and sell them in shops. So this is just 2 plastic rings, and it does have some additional instructions that come in the packet. So once you buy it, this was about $5, you can create an endless number of very cute little handbags to coordinate with your daily accessories. This would be a great use for scarves that you have. A bag of this size is basically enough to hold sort of your phone, your keys, your daily essentials. But I'll let you look along at the instructions a little bit. We're just going to simply attach these rings, just plain rings. There's no opening, there's no nothing. They're just plain plastic rings. You can buy them here in craft stores, big box craft stores especially. And then you can turn it into a cute little handbag. So let me see if I can do this in a way. Again, you have to start with the wrong side of the fabric facing up. You take the ring, you pull the fabric from so that the pretty side is always out. So it's this way. It then wraps around. Whoops. See if I can do this. It wraps around, and then you tie it in a small square knot like this. Actually, I probably should have pulled a little bit more out. You can always go back and readjust so that I have enough to tie it not once, but twice to make it more secure. It's a little tricky on this round item to pull it tight enough the first time to go back and add the second layer of the square knot. There we go. So you will turn it around and repeat the process. I'll show you how it looks on one side. So it's very decorative. You turn it around, do the same thing on the other side. Again, you make sure that the pretty side is always facing out. Pull it through, give yourself enough room, squish it right the way down. In this case, we want to make sure that this is not getting caught on it. And then a square knot again. 1, pull tight, and 2. Now, if you're like me, and this is a bit fussy, they actually make some that use magnets, and they just clip onto the bag, and you can put them together and pull them quite easily. So this looks a little bit like a mess, but let me turn it around. and open it up, and here you go. You have a small, delicate little bag. You can wear it on your arm as an accessory, and if I pull out my phone, you can see that I can fit my phone in there with no problems. I could fit car keys, I could fit my wallet, and I could have a different one for every day, and it would always match my outfits. So those are 3 very simple, very effective ways to use Furoshiki, but those are certainly not the only ways. There are, in the books that I've mentioned, which you can get online or you can order through Kinokuniya, there are hundreds of different options from different sized objects, and you can create huge containers like backpacks. I've seen a video where an old woman is carrying several boxes, and she's just created an extremely large Furoshiki, and she just ties all of her boxes up in it and puts it on her back like a backpack. But that's a little bit too big for me to show on my small desktop camera here. So I've got one more item to show you, and that is how to use a handkerchief. And this is quite lightweight. You can definitely see my hand through it. You can see that it's a gauzy, lightweight handkerchief. How to use a handkerchief as an impromptu mask to wear now that the City of Austin is requiring everyone who goes outside to wear a mask. So I'm sorry that you can't quite see the entire item on my desktop, but let me just imagine this is the entire, is coming off onto my lap. You're going to fold up one piece till it meets the middle in half, fold up again until it meets the middle in about half, flip it over. That's the difficult part. You want to make sure that you have your hands firmly grasping both sides so it doesn't come apart on you. Do that again. So fold it again, halfway, and then halfway. So it looks like this. Flip it a final time. So we're back to where you started. And then you're going to want to get hair elastics. If you don't have hair elastics, you can also just cut a bit off of a t-shirt arm. This happens to be from a long sleeve t-shirt. It has, whoops, that broke. It has the same sort of elasticity if you don't cut it weirdly like I did, but you'll want to double it up. So you'll see that this has about the same amount of stretch as the hair elastic. In this case, I'll just go ahead and use the hair elastics. Whoops. So we've got it folded. You're going to take the hair elastics, slide one end through, about a third of the way through. On the other side, slide it through about a third of the way through, and then you're going to want to tuck one side into the other. Now straighten it up, neaten it up, and I'm now going to switch back to my other camera so that you can see me putting it on my face. So this is a very simple washable way. You don't have to have any sewing expertise, and you can see in about 30 seconds you can create a mask that will keep you in compliance with the Austin regulations. So here we go. I'll show you what it looks like. You'll note if you wear glasses, it can be quite difficult to keep your glasses from fogging up. So what you may want to do is stick a tissue in this bit here, roll up a bit of Kleenex, and that'll keep the fog from your breath from fogging up your glasses. But you see, it has a little fake smile, I'm going to say here, but no, it's like a little pleat, just like in some of the hand-sewn masks. But you can take it with you, you can wash it, you can make a new one, you can use a bandana, you can use any kind of cloth that you may have, and you don't need any sewing knowledge whatsoever. So thank you so much for this brief Furoshiki demonstration. I hope you're enjoying your Friday evening. Don't forget that we do have a contest going on. You can win about 100 prizes, including this limited edition 30th anniversary Austin Oyata t-shirt. Hopefully that is enticing you. Please look at our website and also our Facebook page for more information on how to apply for the contest. And we have some homemade gift cards. We have gift cards, t-shirts, and a variety of prizes. We hope that you'll all enter, and many of you will probably win. Tomorrow we do have matcha tea, which is one of my personal favorites, so I hope you'll come back again tomorrow, 7 o'clock Central Time. And for those of you who are watching on replay, come back at any time. We really appreciate you spending your time with us. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliann. I love Furoshiki. I love the homemade face mask that you made. I would encourage everybody to make your homemade face mask, post a photo, participate in the contest, and show us some love. Thank you so much, Juliann. Appreciate everything that you do. Tomorrow, we have the traditional tea ceremony, Usucha with Marie, not to be missed. See you tomorrow for that beautiful video. The Austin Oita Sister City Committee would like to thank our sponsors, City of Austin Cultural Arts Division, TEL, First Texas Honda, Best of Austin Living Team at Keller Williams Realty, Bruce Gardner Insurance and Investments. This project is supported in part by the Cultural Arts Division of the City of Austin Economic Development Department. Thank you to Austin and Oita City Hall and staff. Thank you to Austin Sister Cities International, Sister Cities International. Thank you to the board members who made this possible, Juliann, Marie, Miho, Susan, and Christy. Thank you to all the AOSCC board members who regularly volunteer their time. For more information about the Austin Oita Sister City Committee, visit us at austinoita.org. That's austinoita.org, or check us out on Facebook.